Inflation is the most American thing in 2024. That's why the new Captain America has inflated its budget to record highs.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Prices are getting out of hands these days. Food, clothes, toys all seem to be on the rise, but nothing seems to be as expensive as movies. For the longest time, the price of a film was a selling point. The higher the budget, the bigger the spectacle. But these days, that tactic is backfiring, as more expensive movies usually result in a jumbled mess of a film. Historically, Marvel films have been expensive, but things have gotten out of hand, and if this news is any indicator, the new Captain America is about to be a real expensive turkey. But before we get into that financial mess, today's video is brought to you by a product that has grossed nearly $150,000 on a very small shoestring budget. What is that project? Stealing Solo: A Captain's Parody, written and drawn by me. And you can get the follow-up book Wokebusters right now on Kickstarter. But there's only a couple days left, and if you miss it, it won't be coming back. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo: A Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to stealingsolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the award-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to stealingsolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. The MCU is the biggest cinematic franchise in history. Currently, the count stands at 33 films, grossing an estimated $29.5 billion in box office revenue. From the outset, it seems that each film brought in nearly $1 billion at the box office, thus making them incredibly profitable. But a closer look reveals a disappointing reality. Over the last few years, the Marvel brand has been on a decline. The once mighty MCU has become less of an event as the constant flow of films and TV shows has turned off audiences, comic book fans, and critics. The last few years have been incredibly rough for Marvel. The TV product has turned off audiences and the films have begun to lose money. 2023's The Marvels, the follow-up to Captain Marvel, is the biggest failure in the history of the MCU, grossing only $206 million worldwide against a production budget of $274.8 million, equating to a $259 million loss. 2023 in general was a terrible year for Marvel's parent company Disney. This chart shows the profit-loss margin of all their theatrical releases. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was the only profitable film in 2023 for Disney. The losses of 2023 were so severe that they nearly wiped out all of the profit from Endgame, Spider-Man: No Way Home, and Avatar 2 combined. With 2023 being such a devastating year for Disney, they surely have course-corrected to ensure their future will be more profitable, right? According to a new report, the budget for the newest Captain America film, Brave New World, has allegedly ballooned up to an astonishing $375 million. If we look at that compared to the 2023 box office slate, we find that Captain America is more expensive than almost every film, save for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That does not bode well for the success of this film. There's an equation, used as a rule of thumb, to determine what a film needs to break even. A film needs to gross roughly 2.5 times its budget to break even. If this report is factual, Captain America would need to make $937.5 million just to break even. That is an astonishing number. Last year's Dial of Destiny had an estimated budget of anywhere between $295 and $387 million. The film would only gross $384 million worldwide, resulting in a loss of $143 million. Forbes reported that the film cost $100 million more to make than even reported. The production was incredibly expensive due to the special effects and the copious amounts of reshoots, something the new Captain America film is familiar with. This comes from a lack of planning. Most films have reshoots, but Captain America is adding action scenes and a new villain. As we've seen, every Marvel action scene requires copious amounts of CGI, which is incredibly expensive. CGI is why shows like Secret Invasion cost $211 million for 6 episodes. CGI and reshoots, which is exactly the same problem Captain America faces. Looking at all the Captain America films, we see an upward trend at the box office. The first film cost $140 million to make and brought in $370 million worldwide. The follow-up, The Winter Soldier, cost $170 million to make and brought in $714 million. And the closer, Captain America: Civil War, cost $250 million to make and brought in roughly $1.1 billion. This is a positive trend among the franchise, but a closer look will reveal why the Civil War movie made much more than its predecessors. There's no way around it, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Civil War is essentially an Avengers film. Civil War features Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Black Panther, and it was the introduction of Spider-Man into the MCU. Spider-Man is Marvel's biggest character, and the massive box office take was due to that. His films would go on to be massively successful as well, with the final film breaking records and beating all expectations. The new Captain America is at a disadvantage. First off, the film will not feature the real Captain America. The Falcon is a fine character, but he represents a problem. Legacy mantles cannot be passed down from character to character. Film audiences don't buy into that. It's quite common in the comic book world, but you can't use it in film for one reason: money. A comic book is incredibly cheap to produce when compared to film. When a classic character is replaced by the new version of a character, it usually only lasts for a short time because sales drop. All while the new character is front and center, toys and merchandise of the original version are still available, making a profit for Marvel. Again, this works for comics but not for film. A lot of fans wait out these changes and return to the comic book once the status quo is returned. Again, that works for comics but not film. When a film is massively expensive as the new Captain America film, one dud is enough to kill the franchise. Look at the Marvels. That film was the follow-up to the $1 billion grossing Captain Marvel, but it earned 80% less than its predecessor. There will not be any more Captain Marvel films. There's no way to spin the failure. The movie killed the character. That movie killed the chances for more Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, or Photon. It's no big loss. Captain America, however, will have the same result. There's no way that the film grosses over $1 billion to make a profit. It has too many things working against it. Waning interest in Marvel, no A-list heroes, Captain America is not in the film, and superheroes in general aren't as hot as they once were. This isn't just a Marvel problem, as DC has record numbers of failures as well, including the massively expensive Flash movie that failed on every level. This problem is beyond Captain America. Blade, another superhero film, cannot get its production straight. Blade cannot get a script finalized, which is exactly the same problem Captain America: New World Order has. Marvel needs to create a plan for these phases and stick to it. We all knew that Iron Man was leading to the Avengers. We all knew that the Avengers was gearing up for Thanos, and after that, it's all been a crapshoot. Movies that jump around in the timeline, movies that contradict previous entries, movies that just don't hit. Fans question if Marvel themselves even know where they're going with these films. The result has been a mess. You don't need a reality stone to see the grim reality of the situation. Marvel is pretty much dead. Before you jump to the comments to remind me about the impending Deadpool and Wolverine, think for a moment. Deadpool cost $58 million to make. That's about 1.5 episodes of Secret Invasion, and brought in $781 million worldwide. Deadpool 2 cost $110 million and brought in $786 million worldwide. Deadpool 3 is going to cost a lot more. The rumor is that it features crossovers from every major past iteration of Marvel characters. Even if the film breaks $1 billion, what's the profit margin? There's no world in which Deadpool 3 earns enough money to make it more profitable than the first two films. It may gross more, but Disney has a spending problem, and all the cameos, CGIs, and reshoots cost a lot of money. That stems from poor planning. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a hit, but it didn't gross enough to offset Disney's other failures. It also made less than its predecessor. If a franchise as beloved as Guardians of the Galaxy didn't break records with its third entry, how will an R-rated superhero film do? Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy 1 earned roughly the same, but Guardians of the Galaxy became a bigger property overall. Deadpool has one unforeseeable obstacle. The return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is a big deal, but the return of Michael Keaton as Batman was an even bigger deal, and it wasn't enough to move the needle. Will Wolverine be able to beat Batman? If it was 1991, maybe, but this is 2024. Both Marvel and DC have produced strings of unsuccessful films and TV shows that have poisoned interest in superhero content. To get back to the topic at hand, the new Captain America film is guaranteed to be a flop. There is no way that the film earns anywhere near the $937.5 million needed to break even, if this number is accurate after all. Remember, Indiana Jones 5 was more expensive, and they lied to hide that from investors. The same goes for Marvel. The series cost tens of millions of dollars per episode, and they aren't hitting. The movies aren't bringing in the big bucks anymore, and the fans are tired of bad product. Bob Iger himself has even said that these things need to be more profitable. Well, Bob, spending more to make less isn't very profitable. We are on the verge of a superhero collapse, and not even the Hulk can shoulder that weight. So what do you think of this news? What do you think of the data? Is the new Captain America dead on arrival? Let me know down in the comments below. You've heard my thoughts, but let's summarize it like this. there is no way the new Captain America hits. If you pay close attention to the video that you just listened to, the word race or woke or any of those things were not mentioned. Anthony Mackie is not the problem here. The problem is the bad writing and the bad decision making. Of course, it's a bad decision to replace Chris Evans, but it's also a bad decision to spend $375 million to just confirm the fact that people do not want Falcon as Cap. Doesn't matter how many cameos, how much Harrison Ford is in the film, how much Giancarlo Esposito is in the film, it is not going to hit because that version of Captain America is not really Captain America to millions of people. The internet will tell you that Sam Wilson is every bit as good as Steve Rogers, but history has proven time and time again that legacy characters cannot pass the mantle down. Imagine them making a Batman film with Robin as Batman. That is not going to work. It doesn't matter how many times they need to reboot Batman to make it successful, making it Robin will never work. People want Bruce Wayne, people want Peter Parker, people want Steve Rogers. The numbers prove that, and Disney is choosing to go against the numbers for, well, some reason. And while we don't know the reason for sure, we know the outcome for sure. Captain America will not hit. So folks, thank you for watching. If you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button with your bell notification turned on to all so you don't miss this. And folks, if you enjoy comic books, and I know you do because you're clicking on this video, well, give a new one a shot. Check out Woke Busters, written and drawn by me. As I said at the beginning of the video, Stealing Solo was a big hit, and Woke Busters is better in every way. So get yourself a copy of that book. It's big, it's colorful, it's funny, and it's done. So go over to Kickstarter, get yourself a copy, and as soon as that ends, the books will be printed and shipped out to you. So folks, I'd like to thank everybody who joined me on this journey. Woke Busters is the culmination of 3 years of hard work and a crazy life, which maybe one day I'll put out there as its own comic book. But until then, folks, let's get Woke Busters over its goal. There's only a couple days left, and we're sadly pretty far away from that. But hey, this is 2024, and with the power of the internet, anything is possible. So folks, let's build a third alternative to independent comics together. Also, and one other side note, I want to clarify something. I'm interested in Deadpool 3. I will review it for the show. I liked the first Deadpool quite a bit, and the second one, I didn't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't expect it to flop because of woke Marvel or any of the other discourse around the film. I expect it to be way more expensive than we realize. I expect it to not hit the way Disney expects it to, and I expect it to be a flop because it was so expensive. That doesn't mean it's going to be a poorly reviewed film or a bad film. And I only add this on because most of the Deadpool fans I've interacted with are about as deep as the Deadpool plot. But all joking aside, folks, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Hit that thumbs up button, and let's do this together. We're almost to 200K. Let's blow past it and get to the million. So folks, let's end this video the way we always do. Be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Oh, and happy 4th of July. There's no podcast this week because we're going to go celebrate with our families, but we'll be back next week. So catch us live next Thursday.